Hello, I'm Maurice Bernard. This is my official YouTube channel. I'll be keeping you updated with the latest news, so please subscribe to my channel. What fascinates me most is the mystery connected to Wyndemere. That place has always carried the atmosphere of buried memories and emotional ghosts. Every longtime viewer understands that Wyndemere is never simply a mansion. It is almost a living symbol of old pain, hidden crimes, and dangerous family truths. So when Danny and Rocco discovered a secret there, I immediately felt that the writers were intentionally opening a door to something much larger than a simple adventure. I do not believe this secret is accidental. I think the story is carefully building toward a revelation connected to Jason's hidden legacy, and perhaps even to decisions made years ago that are only now beginning to poison the next generation. The most emotional part for me is Danny himself. Ever since losing Sam, and now watching Jason become trapped in scandal and imprisonment, Danny has been moving through grief like a young man carrying far too much weight for his age. I think some viewers are underestimating how deeply broken he really is. Yes, Danny appears determined and brave on the surface, but I see desperation underneath every decision he makes. When he becomes obsessed with saving Jason, I do not think it is only about rescuing his father. I think Danny is trying to save the last remaining piece of emotional stability in his life. If Jason disappears too, then Danny loses the final connection to the family identity he still understands. That is why the tension between Danny and Rocco hurts so much to watch. These boys once represented hope. They represented friendship and trust in a world filled with mob violence and betrayal. But now, General Hospital is showing us something painfully realistic. Sometimes fear destroys relationships faster than hatred ever could. Rocco is terrified, and I honestly cannot blame him. Whatever he discovered at Wyndemere clearly shook him to his core. His behavior no longer feels like simple hesitation. It feels like panic. There is an obsession growing inside him, a constant fear that Danny and Charlotte are stepping towards something irreversible. I actually think Rocco knows more than viewers realize. His silence feels too deliberate. Every scene with him lately carries emotional pressure, as though he is constantly calculating what he should reveal and what he must hide. This is why I believe Sidwell's involvement is becoming far more dangerous than anyone in Port Charles understands. Sidwell does not strike me as a man protecting information for noble reasons. I believe he is actively burying Jason's true legacy because exposing it would change the balance of power for multiple families. That is the kind of storytelling General Hospital has always done best. The show loves revealing that a hidden truth from years ago is quietly shaping every modern conflict. What if Jason himself never fully understood the extent of what was hidden? That possibility continues to stay in my mind. I think the secret Danny and Rocco uncovered may connect to something Jason was deliberately kept away from. Perhaps Sidwell feared what Jason's legacy would unlock. Perhaps there are financial interests, criminal networks, or hidden alliances connected to it. But emotionally, the more important question is this: what happens to Danny when he realizes the father he worships may have been manipulated for years? That possibility changes everything. I also cannot ignore Charlotte's role in all this because her involvement feels extremely important. Charlotte has always carried emotional intensity, but lately she seems drawn toward danger with almost reckless determination. When the storyline suggested that Danny and Charlotte are preparing for a journey together, I immediately felt nervous. These two are not simply chasing clues anymore. They are emotionally driven teenagers trying to regain control over lives filled with grief and uncertainty. That combination often leads to disaster in Port Charles. Still, I understand why Danny trusts Charlotte. She listens to him in ways others do not. She sees his anger instead of dismissing it. And honestly, she probably shares some of that same emotional loneliness. That is what makes this partnership compelling. They are not united because they are fearless. They are united because they are wounded. I think many longtime fans will recognize that pattern because General Hospital has always built its strongest bonds between characters who are emotionally damaged and desperately searching for meaning. What concerns me deeply is the growing obsession surrounding the entire situation. The show keeps hinting that fear itself is becoming the real villain. Rocco's fear is growing stronger every episode. Danny's obsession with rescuing Jason is becoming more dangerous. Charlotte's determination feels increasingly reckless. Even Sidwell behaves like a man terrified of losing control. When every character starts acting from fear instead of logic, disaster becomes inevitable. This is why I believe the writers are setting up a major emotional shock rather than just another action storyline. I do not think the true climax will be about guns or violence. I think it will be about betrayal and emotional collapse. There is a difference. Viewers over 60 like myself have watched enough soap operas to recognize when a story is quietly preparing to break relationships apart instead of merely creating temporary drama. And honestly, I think Danny is heading toward a devastating realization about Rocco. Right now, Danny sees Rocco's hesitation as weakness or betrayal. But I suspect Rocco is trying to protect him from something truly dangerous. The tragedy is that Danny cannot understand that yet because grief has consumed his judgment. Grief changes people. It narrows their vision until saving one person becomes more important than protecting themselves. Danny believes he is fighting for Jason, but in reality, he may be walking directly into the trap Sidwell has carefully hidden for years. I also find it fascinating how the story keeps connecting the younger generation to old sins from the past. This has always been one of General Hospital's greatest strengths. The children inherit emotional wars they never started. Danny is paying the emotional price for Jason's history. Rocco is trapped by secrets he never asked to carry. Charlotte is being pulled into danger because adults around her failed to tell the truth soon enough. That cycle feels painfully authentic to me. And let me say this clearly. I do not trust Sidwell at all. The more the story unfolds, the more I believe he understands exactly how vulnerable these teenagers are. There is something especially chilling about an adult manipulating confused young people who are already emotionally unstable. Every scene involving hidden information and secret legacies feels calculated. I think Sidwell knows that if Danny uncovers the full truth about Jason's inheritance and past connections, powerful people could lose everything. Another reason this storyline feels effective is because it does not move too quickly. Some viewers complain about slow pacing, but I actually appreciate it. Suspense only works when the audience has time to emotionally absorb the consequences. Every uncomfortable silence between Danny and Rocco matters. Every nervous glance from Charlotte matters. The emotional atmosphere has become thick with anxiety, And as an older viewer, I enjoy stories that allow tension to simmer instead of exploding immediately. I keep returning to one question that refuses to leave my mind. What exactly did Danny and Rocco see at Wyndemere that changed them so dramatically? The answer must be enormous because neither boy has behaved normally since. Rocco especially seems psychologically shaken. He looks like someone carrying knowledge too heavy for his age. That detail matters to me because General Hospital rarely gives younger characters this level of emotional complexity unless the payoff is significant. Part of me even wonders whether Jason himself could become emotionally devastated by the truth once it finally surfaces. We often think of Jason as emotionally controlled and nearly indestructible, but what happens if the hidden legacy threatens everything he thought he knew about his own past? Danny is risking everything to save his father, yet the cruel irony may be that the truth destroys Jason emotionally anyway. That possibility would fit perfectly within the tragic tone currently surrounding the story. At the same time, I cannot deny how invested I have become in the emotional bond between Danny and Charlotte. There is genuine warmth there, but also danger. Young people chasing secrets together in Port Charles rarely end well. The writers are clearly building toward a turning point during this mysterious journey they are preparing to take. I suspect they believe they are searching for answers, but what they may actually discover is how deeply manipulated they have all been from the beginning. Meanwhile, Rocco's fear continues to rise, and I think that fear is justified. He sees warning signs others ignore. He understands that Danny's emotional instability is making him vulnerable to terrible decisions. Yet every attempt Rocco makes to slow things down only pushes Danny further away. That emotional contradiction is beautifully tragic. Sometimes trying to protect someone is exactly what destroys your relationship with them. I also appreciate how the show is allowing younger characters to carry emotionally mature material. Too often, soap operas reduce teenagers to romance and temporary rebellion. But this storyline explores trauma, paranoia, family identity, loyalty, and emotional inheritance. Those are heavy themes, and I believe the actors are handling them surprisingly well. As I continue watching these episodes unfold, I feel increasingly convinced that General Hospital is building toward one of those unforgettable emotional storms that longtime fans never forget. The secrets at Wyndemere, Jason's hidden legacy, Sidwell's manipulation, Danny's desperation, Charlotte's dangerous loyalty, and Rocco's growing terror are all connecting piece by piece like a slow-moving avalanche. And the saddest part may be this: by the time the truth finally emerges, the damage between Danny and Rocco could already be permanent. That thought genuinely hurts because their friendship once represented innocence in a town that rarely allows innocence to survive. Now that innocence is disappearing, replaced by suspicion, obsession, and fear. In many ways, this storyline reminds me why I have remained loyal to General Hospital for so many decades. Beneath the mysteries and dramatic twists, the show still understands one timeless truth. The most painful battles are never truly about power or money. They are about family, trust, and the unbearable fear of losing the people we love before we have the chance to save them. Thank you for watching my video. I will regularly update you with the latest news about the drama General Hospital, so please stay tuned.